Well, good morning. Welcome to Monday, June 16th.
Monday. Morning. Good morning,
And
Bill.
Good
I
morning.
have a good week. And
Yeah, it's Father's Day weekend. You guys, you fathers that must have been all happy with. I saw your breakfast, Trent, so that was cool.
Father's Day is nowhere as important as Mother's Day.
nothing's important
We
when it
all know
comes to
that.
right.
Well said, Payman. Well said. Margaret won't be here today because she's going to jump out of an airplane. So I hope that goes all well with her son. So that'll be
Oh
interesting.
gosh.
When she tells us about that adventure tomorrow. So we'll get rolling here because it is Monday, and we do have a lot of stuff going on. It's interesting to me. We had over the weekend, Israel and Iran, or they still are bombing each other. They're starting to bomb infrastructure in Iran, dealing with oil, and Iran's talking about closing the Straits of Hormuz. And so it seems to not be de-escalating in that point. Here in the U.S., we had a kind of a civil unrest weekend. Um, had a military parade on one end, and we had a No Kings protest on the other. Uh, and still, we have the stock market up 266 points in pre-market, and oil's down just a little bit, and the 10 years up a little bit. So, the market is not the economy. It's interesting. Life goes on. But as when you put it in perspective of what's happening around the world, it just seems a bit disconnected. But maybe that's just me. Um, for all you that are new, uh, every week we kind of put out a list on Sundays and Monday morning. You can go to charts of interest. We have momentum stocks. And again, these are just charts of interest. You have to use your own trading plan with charts and some explanation. We got under the 200 stocks, which did really well last week. And then we have just regular setups for swing trade type stocks in here with charts. So, always go check on that. It's in platinum under charts of interest. So that's always in there. Trent's got an office in here. I have an office in here. If you have questions, we put commentary on our on our in our office that you can come and talk to us. Like today, this week we have Lennar, we have JBL, Lazy Boy, Carnival Cruises, Kroger. Those are some stocks that are going to have earnings this week. We're about out of earnings season. And then there's some stock splits going on. Interactive Brokers going 4-1. ARC 21 is going 3-1 split. And again, this week we have more of Iran-Iraq or Iran-Israel war. The Dow Jones last Friday, because of war, it closed down 769 points, NASDAQ 255 points down, S&P 68. This week is really the FOMC meeting with the Fed. And they're going to talk about a rate decision. It's not expected that they're going to lower rates. We also have, Trent just reminded me, a holiday, the Juneteenth. On Thursday, the markets will be closed. So on Thursday, we will not have a morning edge meeting because the markets won't be open. Correct, Trent?
That's what I have read. Yes.
Okay, unless it
Yep.
is open, but it looks like it's closed.
I'll
Earnings.
confirm that here in a minute.
Okay, yeah, we have a couple of days on that. Big news, economic wise, is U.S. retail sales this week, along with the FOMC. So there's a lot of stuff out there. We still have the China U.S. trade deal and negotiations and all around the world. So it's not like we're going to be bored, even though it could be a short week. So all right, let's get on to some charts real quick and share my screen. There we go. Oh, we'll start out here with the SPY again. Kind of still have a gap down here, still sideways. We got resistance up here right along a kind of a parallel Bollinger Band. We're going to open up just a little bit higher above the 9. We closed below the 9, but we were sideways on the SPY, EIA. about the same. The IA we're running right along, the resistance level. We kind of got above the 9. We closed below it again, below resistance. We're going to open a little bit above. Again, we're seeing a little bit of a rollover on the oscillators. Just not much rolling. Just again, it's kind of a boring summer doldrums, waiting for something to happen kind of index. And then on the Qs, this will mimic everything we see in the Mag 7. Kind of stepped up a little bit, and then we went right along resistance, and that's about where we're going to open. You see the 9 has come up and hit resistance. And normally when we see that, we see the price action kind of tail off, which is what the oscillators are trying to tell us here a little bit. Gold is interesting. Gold kind of popped up on Friday a little bit, right to resistance. And it popped up, because of the conflict in Iran, and Israel. And today we're going to open up just a little bit below that. Silver had that big pop and has hit resistance. You see we come up, hit resistance, and we've been there 3 days in a row. It's going to open up right about at that level. The 9 keeps coming up. We'll see if it does that kind of death curve on the resistance level. BTC, Bitcoin. Bitcoin's kind of come back up just at the 9. It's going to open a little bit. Actually, this is within the reign of its support resistance. We've been hitting this resistance level, and now it's turned to support. So we'll see if we can keep moving on Bitcoin. The price is about 106, and we've been running along this 105 line. If we open it up just a little bit, you can see where we have support, resistance. We had support, resistance here. We broke through, and then we got in this line between resistance and support, broke above, went to all-time highs, came back down below support. Now we pop back up. So, it's, look at the bigger picture. We're just kind of sideways, within this upper level of support resistance. Bollingers are kind of coming together. We're seeing a little bit of a turnaround on stochastic here, and we'll see if that generates into the MACD also. But normally it does. Get back out of this. MicroStrategy. Okay, just same sideways pattern right below the resistance level, right along the 9, right along support. So we'll see if we get a little pop. The oscillators are flat. Again, no excitement rolling around here. NVIDIA. And just the same, sideways to flat on NVIDIA, going to open just a little higher, but under resistance, just moving sideways. MSFT, Microsoft, looks like the same, kind of went up, get resistance. We're going to open right, kind of waiting for something to happen, Palantir, you would, with the war going on, you'd think Palantir would move a little more, but it's just kind of above the 9. We're starting to see a little bit of an uptick, on the Bollinger Band, but we do have resistance right about where we're going to open, and then we have sell orders right above that. So if it does pop up a little bit, it doesn't look like it's going to go very far before it hits some resistance. And stochastic kind of moving over, but Palantir just kind of sideways to up a little bit. And I would think it would get a bigger pop, with what they do in intelligence. I'm gonna go with some momentum stocks. We do 3 charts, momentum under 200, watch list. For those of you who like to chase momentum, we've got Cardinal Health. Okay, kind of popped above the 9, 2 days. Watch out for resistance at 163.87, where you have some sell orders. We also have RTX. You're going to get a lot of defense stocks. Took a pop last week because of the war. Again, we're outside of the Bollinger Band. You do have some resistance at sellers at 148.56, but it was moving up anyway, and it has a pop. A lot of times you're going to try to get in. You might want to put a sell limit or a buy limit down, below this level, and see if you can catch a little wick down and get a little better price if you're going to try to get into one of these momentum stocks. And then, of course, you guys brought up MP Materials, which we started a long time ago watching this on this channel. You can see this is a rare earth company out in California. And you can see with the trade in China, holding a majority of the rare earths, that this is starting to pop and, just following its Bollinger Band up. And just be aware you've got some sell orders at 32.57. So those are just a few. You can go to our Discord and see the rest of them that we have listed. If you have any questions, you can always write us on the Discord. Under the 200, we still have from a week or two ago, Whirlpool. I put in some commentary over the weekend what happened with Whirlpool, and they got some good upgrades. And we put it on the list here, and it's still riding up and went right up to where sell orders are. And today we'll see what happens, but you're still in. You could still be in this stock from a week ago. Also, we had Amgen. If it will come up for me. So Amgen, and we got in around this level. It's still moving up. It's having trouble getting past this 200. We're going to have to get past that 200. That's a good level of resistance, and if we can get above it and stay, that's a good level of support. We haven't got to that point yet. So some people may want to take their profits there, take a little bit off, or if you want to try to run it, see it happens. A lot of times you can't get past the 200. We had some here at support. You can see it came down on support and finally broke through. So we'll see if we have the same kind of issue. Last time we broke through, we had an issue here, couldn't do it, and then we finally broke through here. Not that that's going to happen here, but that's the kind of patterns you can see basically on the 200s. And then I'm just going to do one more. XLV, which is the healthcare. We're starting to see some healthcare moving up, and you got a nice run above the 50, above the 9. The 9 is going to cross the 50, which golden cross. You're following the upper Bollinger. You're staying underneath it. You got some good oscillators down here on the XLV. So again, you got some room before you're going to have resistance at the upper Bollinger. You'll have support at the 9 and the 50. You'll play between those, but you got some room to run. And these are all under the 200. When we look at some of on the watch list, you're going to see a lot of energy stocks because of what's happening in the Middle East. So you see a lot of this. So again, we didn't quite make it even on Friday. This is Plains American Pipeline. You want to go and get above this 200 and then back test it and see if it'll run, before you'd want to try to get into a stock like this. You're seeing the same thing on ExxonMobil. Right at the 200 or above the Bollinger, you're going to want to see this Bollinger move up. You want to see you can maintain this level, with a back test of the 200 and see if we can still run it. But right now, that would wait for that for confirmation. ADM, and again, these are all on the Discord. You can go ADM, same thing. It kind of popped up right above the 200. We want to back test this for because again, this isn't a confirmation that we're going to stay above the 200. We have to back test it and move it up. But the oscillators look pretty good.
I didn't see a ring on her hand anyway.
Can you take care of that, Trent? You hear that sound, Trent?
I got it.
Okay, thanks. Micron has done pretty well. It's gone up, went above the Bollinger 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and normally it doesn't stay above it more than 5, and it proved our point this time. It's come back in, got support at the 9. Always try to get it lower if you're going to get into one of these, towards support as opposed to resistance. You got some sell orders above it, but it's had a pretty good run, and you got a ways to go before you hit intermediate resistance, but you do have sell orders at 119.49. Yeah, let's do one more. And again, there's a lot more of these on the Discord. This one, SEDG popped way up. Again, it's above the upper Bollinger. Went all the way up to where the sell orders are. Got beat back down above the Bollinger. There's some room in here to grab it if you can catch it down and you keep the momentum going. But I wouldn't buy it over the upper Bollinger just because you don't have as much reward as your risk on the downside. But it's something to watch. Let's go look at some stocks we've been watching for a while. We'll start out with United Health. And this guy's trying as hard as he can to get above this upper Bollinger Band, and it hasn't happened yet. And it's above the 9, for several days. We've got some good oscillators. We don't have the momentum yet. We're not above the 50. I think if we get some more momentum up above the 50 level, we'll start seeing potential for upward trending of United Health. It just hasn't happened yet. And And I know some of you might have bought right along the support level, and that was at 300. So if you did that, you're still up $11 on that. But we just need a little more momentum on United Health. But keep it on your list because these are the kind of charts we like to look at. CoreWeave, a nice run. It's just having some issues getting past resistance. Looks like we're going to open a little bit above where we were. We'll see if it keeps going sideways again. But you got this 9 kind of coming up to the resistance level. But CoreWeave's been trying to hang in there, right along resistance. So if you're a long-term investor, you're still doing pretty well on CoreWeave. MCD, someone brought up McDonald's last week, so we'll follow up on that. Here's an example of the 200 offering a line of support. You can see McDonald's dropped down, played around the 200, got it back above it, came up, wicked up to where resistance is at the 9, which is still downtrending. So, and you still have oscillators that are not confirming any kind of an upturn yet. But the good thing is you're still bouncing off this 200. Now, if you get below that and you still have downward tracing Bollinger Bands, this can still possibly head down. But we're starting to see a little tick on the stochastic. Maybe that'll get us some more on the MACD. But our momentum is still at 35 on the RSI. We want a little bit more. We want to see these start to turn. We want to see the 9 start to turn, come back this way, go back up, get above the 9, and then you might have a decent trade on McDonald's, but it's just not there yet. You guys like Irene? Irene came up, or Iran, hit resistance, hit sell orders, flattening out of the Bollingers. 9's coming up towards the resistance level, like we see a sideways pattern. Again, you get this. Here we had, we came up, we played around the 200, couldn't quite get it. Back test, back down. This is kind of why we wait for a back test. Got above it, came back down, got above it again, but unfortunately we have resistance right above us. So, that's your risk reward. What's your risk to the downside to your reward to the upside? And there's, when you get resistance next to sell orders, that's a lot of resistance on the top side that adds to your risk. We have a lot of, you're going to see defense stocks kind of pop because of this war. You saw this on Friday. This is LHX, General Dynamics. You see it popped right up to sell orders. Now, I don't like to chase these things. Some people do because it's all news fed. Here's Northrop Grumman. Okay, they popped up, and here's Lockheed Martin. So you see oil, you're seeing defense stocks kind of pop. With Lockheed Martin, it's kind of interesting because it got above the 9. It was a nice pop up. Let's see if it's now between the Bollinger and the 9. So of all the defense stocks that might be tradable, this might be one that if you can get in, you got a little bit of a bump up on your 9. When we come down to the MACD, we're not quite crossed yet, but we are crossed over on the stochastic, which usually happens before a MACD crossover. And so, with Lockheed, if you like to play the news and the momentum, you might be able to get it a little lower and see if you can ride it up. But again, not financial advice because you're going to have sell orders right above it. And then you got the elusive 200-day moving average to get by. But that's at 502. We're at 486. And the upper Bollinger Band is at 488.46. And we closed at 46.45. So, if you try to get into one of these, always try to get a better deal. But again, remember, these are pretty news driven. And I think I'm going to do 2 more just because I'm always long. I put on my office that MasterCard and Visa had a really down day on Friday. And not just because the market went down, but because Walmart and Costco were talking about making their own stable coin. And a stable coin is tethered to the US dollar, and it makes transactions easier. And long story short, if companies like Walmart and Google have their own stable coin that people can buy and sell things with, it's a lot cheaper. Google and Walmart or Costco, Walmart are not going to pay the exorbitant expense fees, and neither are customers to MasterCard and Visa. And so it's kind of a threat to MasterCard and Visa's revenue stream. Now, MasterCard and Visa aren't just sitting around. They are looking into their own stablecoin, and the stablecoins work on the blockchain and it's hooked into Bitcoin. So we're going to start seeing kind of a revolution in the financial world based on stablecoins. We have a vote coming up in Congress on the regulations of stablecoins, and if that passes, I think you're going to see, JP Morgan has the Morgan coin. They're all ready to go with these banks, and it could be detrimental to Visa and MasterCard. So just be careful if you're in that, because we're going to hear a lot more about this coming up, and you can just see it in the stock price right now. So sorry about that, Trent, but it is Monday morning.
All right. Well, let's just take a look at some risk parameters here. Right now, the options market has SPY or S&P 500 at a support level about 590 on the SPY and 60 or $610 on the top side. So this is the range that is being set by the options market for this week. And take into account this is a short week, Thursday, and markets won't be open, option markets won't be open. And then Friday the 20th is option expiration. It is a big option expiration, and why this is significant is because you have because so much is expiring, this will sort of release the hedging that has been going on with market makers on volatility and their overall position. So when this expires, what we should anticipate going into the following week, next week, is an expansion in volatility, and that can be good and that can be bad. That can fuel markets to go higher, and possibly on the S&P 500, in particular the ETF SPY, a breakthrough 610, which has been sort of a resistance level since December, February. And if we could see a breakthrough there, and then we roll into July 2nd, when the 3-month average of the volatility index rolls off. So this rolls off here. So the averages go back down. And what this does is, for those who aren't aware of systematic trading funds or CTA funds and systematic trading funds and volatility trading funds have not participated in this movement higher in the S&P 500 because of this big candle here, this weekly candle on the VIX. And once this rolls off, that will then trigger the algorithms to kick back in and take on more risk, which then drives markets higher potentially or down. But it's more than likely you'll see an increase in risk on these funds, and that means more money comes into a bullish positioning and buying position. So we want to see that, that's the big point. But this Friday is also a big point. This is the VIX volatility index, the volatility index of the S&P 500. Friday, it jumped and closed at 2081. That is above our investable bucket line, puts us in the chop bucket. But today it looks like it's going to open presently at 1971. So possibly a move, a close or a move lower in volatility, which allows stocks, in this case S&P 500, to move higher and be back into this investable bucket eventually. So those are the big points that I'm looking at this week, with it being a short week, a 4-day trade week, and you got the FOMC meeting on Wednesday. They'll announce interest rates, and they'll announce interest rates, at 1 Central. That gives you about 2 hours of trading, and for the markets to digest that. And then we'll go into a day, Thursday, where markets aren't open. And then Friday should be really interesting and telling. But I think with the options expiration on Friday, you're going to see next week could become a very positive event, positive market for positive for markets overall. So I anticipate that between now and Wednesday, volatility will be subdued, trading volume will be subdued. So take that into account as you're setting up positions on a short-term or long-term point of view. And yeah, that's what I got today. This is to me, this will, from what I'm understanding of what the markets are doing, this is going to be sort of a very mellow week up until Wednesday when the FOMC announces interest rates. So take that into account as you're positioning and risk managing overall. So let's open it up to the floor and any questions, comments?
I see the New York Empire State Manufacturing Index came out, Bob. Dropped to -16. Bob Brown, there's Bob.
Yeah, I'm here. Should I respond?
Yes. I expect no less.
I mean, I am floored by how deep negative that number is, you know? I mean, I think that's an honest number that's been covered up for a while now.
Well, you live it because
Yeah.
that's probably the index you're under.
Yeah. Yeah, we're feeling the pain. It continues, it's a little better, but it continues. It has not gotten better. So
That's all you got.
yeah.
You seem a little down today, even your black shirt. So
Yeah. Yeah, I'm just
all right. Well,
just trying
let's
to get into things, you know.
let's move over
All
to
this day
Patrick.
was a little exciting. So
All right. Well, let's move over to Patrick. Patrick always has happy news for us. What's going on with the stripper index? Anything yet?
Well, I haven't any report on strippers or even sex worker index. I'm doing further research anyway. I'll come back to you on that. I just want to bring up something on the Empire State Manufacturing Index. I think is to be published soon, I believe. Is it?
Yeah, I've got it.
Came in light.
I've got it
that's
over
what
in the
we were
chat.
just talking about.
So
Yeah, it went down.
is it was it 5.9 or less than that?
It dropped to -16.
60. That's a bad index.
That is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the lowest since March. It said. I put it over in the chat on Morning Edge chat. If you want to read the story.
I wish my blood pressure could drop that much.
Yeah, I think those kind of numbers make it go up, right, Bob?
I wanted to talk about 2 buy points for Palantir and Nvidia.
Okay.
I've calculated that the price should be $60 for Palantir and $100 for Nvidia when this correction takes place in the next few weeks.
All right, let me take a look here. We'll pull up Palantir first.
Palantir first.
And you said $60, right?
$60 buy price, yeah. According to the if you look at you don't use Fibonacci, but Fibonacci at the 32.8 level, it shows that it's an optimal price, and it's backed up by MACD and RSI.
That's a low price. I mean, look at it, it's below the 200. That's quite a drop.
Yeah, it would be a 55% fall in price.
Wow.
Why?
And so that's based
According to who?
Well, according to the if you look with this Gulf War taking place, with all these bombing of these nuclear sites, there's bound to be an ecological disaster, because just one point I want to make: 90% of the drinking water in the Middle East is from desalination plants, and the waters and oceans around the Middle East, they're only 30 meters deep. Well, if any of this fissionable material gets into rivers and is flushed down into the oceans, you'll have radioactive water, and so that 100 million people will have no drinkable water.
So what does that have to do with ships?
Well, all of that is going to shut down the Middle East. 20% of the oil production comes from the Middle East.
Yeah, but what does that have to do with chips?
Palantir.
Well, it's to do with the market. Anything. It's about floating boats. I mean, everything falls when you have a correction.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, that's
I understand that it affects the market, but that would just not be Palantir, it'd be the markets overall, is what you're
right.
talking about.
And also the other fact
I
is
think Palantir and several of the other ones, the chip makers, Oracle, I don't believe that they would be impacted as much as what you're talking about. I mean, there will
yeah.
be impact, I agree with you, but not to the extent of to these specific ones because of the up move in technology. And that everything in war, we're providing bombs. Well, those bombs need chips. And war needs chips. Um, Drones need chips. So
Yeah, but if the price,
I'm not convinced on that one.
yeah, if the price of oil goes to $150 a barrel, then it'll impact everything.
That sounds like a really low number.
Well, I
But
think
anything can happen. I'm not,
I
Patrick,
know.
anything can happen. I
we
said
were. I
stuff
mean,
happen you never thought would happen.
we
So
were we
trouble-
were 4.5 blocks away from the U.S. coming into this war this weekend because that one bomb exploded. One bomb exploded about 4.5 blocks from our embassy. And if they hit our embassy, you
yeah,
can bet
yeah,
that Trump's
yeah,
not going to let that go.
yeah, yeah. He's gonna drop bombs for that. And the
But
B-52s
the
are
Iron
over there already.
the Iron Dome is not 100% efficient, and they've come up with new software, and the ballistic missiles are getting through, and it's causing devastation in Tel Aviv and in Haifa.
It's not so bad considering that they're launching 100 at a time. One or two are getting through.
No, 20% are getting through,
Okay.
and that's a high number.
You're
I
hearing
think,
a different number than we're hearing.
Yeah, because the Iran have come up with a new software platform, and they're able to outmaneuver the dome, and they're sending out decoy drones and missiles to overwhelm the dome, and then their hypersonic missiles get through.
That makes sense.
I'm no expert, but what I've heard just listening to the talking heads is that there's a limited supply of these ballistic missiles that Iran actually has, and every time they fire, the Israelis see where they're fired from and send
And then
in
send the planes
reciprocal
there.
bombs to
Yeah.
take those sites out.
But Iran have precision missiles. They're taking out the Israeli firepower as well, which you're not hearing in the media. They're taking out a lot of Israeli defense systems.
Well,
Okay.
I'm going to kick back on you that we're providing the bombs, and the USA is providing the fighting power with those bombs and the equipment. So they can take it out, but we're replenishing pretty quickly.
Okay. Well, the trouble is, over 3 weeks, what will be the devastation after 3 weeks? Because it'll turn Israel into a bomb site.
Well, we'll see. I mean, that's speculation. I'm not an military expert. I've worked on ballistic missiles before, but that's the extent of my knowledge of it. But what's your other stock? What's your other stock, Patrick?
Well, I think the other one is Caterpillar. It was mentioned by some of the Congress members. They bought it recently, and I think it's worth looking at.
There's Caterpillar again.
Yeah.
Had a little
Yeah,
trouble.
because they're going to need those. They're going to need all that equipment to clean up Israel.
Well, it's not
Funny how
looking.
all that works.
It's not looking all that good right now. It's kind of sideways right now. So I'm seeing more action right now in the defense stocks than I am in Caterpillar. But so where do you think Caterpillar is going then, Patrick?
Well, I think in construction, I think it will take off because they feel that this year there should be quite a growth spurt in their figures.
Okay, I don't see it. The charts don't tell me that, but I'm not looking at fundamentals.
But what the congressmen are, of why they bought, men and women have bought it. They've heard something we don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, John Deere
That's
looks the same.
typical. They know a lot more than us.
Let's go see what Nancy's doing. Oh,
Yeah.
Nancy's flat too. I mean, on her stock chart. So what else? You got anything else, Patrick?
Sorry, that I'm out of ideas. Sorry, that's it for today.
Hey,
Did you
what's your
talk
name?
about-
Mark. Look at Berkshire Hathaway. We've talked about this for the last couple of weeks. It's declined since Warren announced that he was going to step aside as CEO. But we talked about how it's coming down towards that 200-day simple moving average. And today it looks like it's going to open up about $2 higher. This could be a move back towards a move higher, which could be a resemblance of the shift from sort of a high beta positions to more value oriented. Or it just could be just this single stock has come down to 200. And if you look at it, where you go back to did the same April 7th, you just go back, it just plays that 200-day. And so there were some questions in the past about
Oh, I see what you're
Berkshire
saying.
and
Getting
entering
close.
Berkshire.
I don't know.
What's
Do you
that?
think it's going to break the 200? It kind of getting
No,
there.
I
don't
think it'll
think so.
bounce off it. I
You
think
don't
with
think so?
Look at the Bollinger Band here. It's flattening out right at the 200.
Yeah, but look at the RSI and the MACD. There's
Yeah.
nothing happening there.
Well, I mean the MACD's flat.
Exactly.
Stochastic. Yeah, but that's why we see this in this box. But what's going to happen as this keeps coming down, and as we see this going sideways, if this comes down and we can get above that 9, we're going to see this come back up, and I'll buy back in, and because then you'll see the RSI come up, and you'll see.
Okay, so that's two. This is a day chart.
This is daily.
Okay, so we have that's 2 days. Today would be the second day if we get positive. Tomorrow will be the confirmation.
Well, I've hit this line about 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So we'll see what happens. But if it's going up $2, again, Berkshire Hathaway has $300 billion sitting in the sidelines. So it's not like they're going out of business.
No one's disputing that.
Yeah.
We're just
I just don't.
is it going to break the 200 or not?
I don't think so. I mean, and the only reason I'm saying that is like Trent said, we go back. Let's go back 2 years, and it just boom. I mean, it doesn't get close to it much, but when it does, there's another area. It looks just like kind of what we're doing. Then it wicked down and hit here. So this would be the 4th time. And I think it's going to be a bounce, Bob. I think the 200 is it's either a really strong level of resistance as we've seen charts today, or it's really a strong level of support. And I think for me personally, watching this chart for as many years as I have, that we're probably going to bounce off of it. My opinion. Now,
Warren was there every time you watched it. Every time you watched it dip down here, Warren was still in charge.
Yeah. Well, I think the only thing
they're changing the guard now.
Well, he really isn't gone yet, if you know that. And Greg Abel's been there for 25 years, so I think
I'm not disputing that, but
hey,
people have been in there for all the baby boomers have been in there, from 40 years ago. They're probably running for the doors. They're probably saying, "Oh, Warren's out, I'm out."
I think you would see bigger volume.
You think so?
Selling.
Okay. Here's the volumes right here. These people here probably are the ones that are selling. So I go back and look.
Right.
And again,
I'm just saying it's an argument. Just saying.
If what Patrick says comes true, and the world comes in and we don't have any water in the Middle East, yeah, you can see that go under. You can see a lot of companies going to the 200 then.
Yeah.
Hey, Mark. So if you look at April,
it might be the twist.
September 3rd, and you look at November 27th, those are 2 areas that at one point were resistance. That now it's coming back down to that, and that creates that potentially is that support level. which would, give you a bouncing off point to go higher. And I think that's something to take in consideration. At one point once was resistance, now is becoming support. So
It's still got to get past that 200 before it does anything.
I'm talking about going up.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I mean.
Okay. Now I'm not
Yeah.
talking about going down. My whole
Yeah.
point is about going up,
Right.
and that the 200 and these two support resistance levels in the past have now become potentially a support level for Berkshire and could be an entry point at this point.
Yeah. I mean, I'll follow my trading plan again, and if this gets above the 9 and the oscillators go, then I'll get back in on the swing, you know.
Right.
But what I do like is I do like this Bollinger flattening right where the 200 is. So I got two levels of support now, right on each other. That's like having two levels of linebackers sitting on the line and trying to punch it through, the other team, and see if price action can punch through. Can it? Sure. Am I seeing drastic dives in the oscillators? No. Okay. So again, until it happens, it happens. But that's why I look at charts, and we've seen how powerful the 200 is. We know that every technical computer program in the world and every guy that's sitting out there like you and I are watching this 200-day moving average, and use it as a support level until it's not. My opinion. Patrick, you have any more doom and gloom? Because everyone's silent again.
No, my pessimism is over now. I know you're all your cups are all very half full.
Well, I tried. I tried. Oh, what were you, Bob? You were a Honeywell guy. Let's look at Honeywell. Yeah, Honeywell's just
It's just moving sideways.
consolidating like the market. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. This has a little bit of a drop on the MACD.
It's a good company. I'm in it. I'm still in it.
That's okay. Yeah, no. I mean, we talk about everything. People have.
You had there was a request to look at Tesla, Google. We already looked at Berkshire, and I think there was one other.
Tesla is Google. All right, let's take a look. Tesla. Whew, all right, resistance on Tesla. We're below resistance. We're above the 200. We dropped a little below the 9, not a full candle. We still have the 9 heading down. We're going to open up a little bit on Tesla. Looks like today. You still have resistance and sell orders right up around 343 on any momentum that comes up. Your oscillators still have not crossed. Your stochastic has crossed a little bit, which is usually an indicator that your MACD will. So we're going to have, this will be quite a good open above where we closed. And then you have resistance right above. We've come up and played this line before. The 9 came up right on resistance, zip back down. So we'll see. But again, you've got resistance. Just watch your resistance and where you have an entry point. Because this is your reward up to resistance. And this will be your risk back down to the 20 probably. And what was the other one? Google?
Google and also Apple.
Apple. Okay. Google. Nope. I'm locked up. Hold on here a second. Uh-oh. I'm locked up.
So,
You want me to-
Trent, can you bring that up? Mine just locked up.
Yeah.
I'll get back in.
Since
You
we're
need to
on
upgrade your
Google,
compact computer.
since we're on Google, Google is screwed going down the road.
Why is that?
I saw your stuff. You sent me an email. Yeah.
Yeah, they're done.
All right.
Down the road, they are done.
And why do you say that,
Everybody,
Bob?
Okay.
everybody is heading.
So anytime I go out, I'll close the garage.
Hold on.
Okay, close that garage. Everybody's moving to Bork, ChatGPT. They're not wasting their time going to Google to search. More people every single day are heading to AI to get their answers in a much faster fashion. Like there was that news article. If you take that news article, they wanted me to subscribe to read it. And if you take that news article exactly verbatim, of that heading and put it into Gork and ask them, please tell me about this news article and give me the information in it. And it just spits it all out. So it's twofold. The news writing these articles, Gork and AI go right in and read the article and then tell you the important points of the whole article. Everybody's going in that direction. They're not going to waste their time with Google. Google's in a very serious situation shortly.
The one thing about Google is that their recent AI video creation program. I don't know if you've seen what's coming out of this, but it's pretty substantial. And so their play into that on a long-term basis could be more of a shift from search to video and rendering and all that kind of stuff. It's all over TikTok, it's all over Instagram, what these people are doing with it. And granted, it's in the first stage of it, but it's phenomenal what they've developed. So it's something to take into account. But
I
from a
haven't
search
looked at that,
standpoint, I'm with you. I'm like, I go to Claude, I go to Grok or ChatGPT to do all that.
but the problem is, Trent, what this does, and that includes me too, my business, is that people, when they search specific items, they don't come up in chat. Like I come up in chat, okay? I've already taken the steps to allow my site to be included in chat if someone was searching for a specific item. But it's not advertisement for sale. It just tells you about the company and the information, right? But when you search on Google and you're looking for a specific item, right? Every time you get on Google for the next week, that item keeps popping up from all the
Right.
different
Well, it's
companies.
all
It's
advertising.
selling all the advertisement, right? That's where
Yeah,
they make their money. That's my point. My point is that
that's a good
advertisement,
point.
people are not going to be spending money on Google for ads anymore. The click is going to be done.
So really the
That's their
battle they're
avenue of revenue.
right. I mean, I guess the battle they're fighting is if you can figure out the AI algorithms of these other competitors and design your website or whatever you're putting out there around that to get picked up. Google's really, like you said, it's boxed in a corner at that point because now I can optimize my website to be more attractive to these other algorithm or these other AI type programs like Claude and Grok and ChatGPT. I don't have to spend money at AdWords, you know?
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they're
So
saying
I
that
can see
if you
your
read those
point there.
article, if you read what I sent you, right, the switch is going to be, and then this is for the good, to Meta, to Amazon, to these other platforms where you spend social time, okay? That's where it's going to shift
Yep.
the ads, and they're gonna make more money, okay? And
Hmm.
and clicks. So my point is that Google has a serious problem. However, the pickup's going to be on the other side. Now, how does Gork and how does ChatGPT monetize, other than you paying $20, monetize ads and things like that? I foresee that coming down the road.
Yeah.
But the question
Well,
is,
they have to.
yeah, they just can't overload it because people actually go there for information. I love it. I mean, first thing I do now is just go to Gork because I get
Yeah.
all my answers.
True. So this is Google. Speaking of Google, uh, this is their chart, and when I look at this, um, you're sort of got that headwind above you, right around that 183 mark, and you got support down here around. Well, it's right off the 200 right now. That's that red line. So but the relative strength level is starting to decline again, or has been declining. So really, what like it's stuff like what you're talking about, Bob, that works against it. What positive news could push it higher, I guess is the question from my perspective. It's still above sort of the line in the sand for me, but what's going to take it higher? And that's really from an intermediate to long-term perspective. That's the problem. Is there a swing trade there? I doubt it. I don't see anything. Mark?
Oh, I got my chart back. Can I put mine up?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Sorry, guys, my chart.
What's the matter? You didn't pay the bill this month?
I think Mike hexed my Active Trader Pro by dissing it so much. Oh, that's Apple. Sorry, guys. Let's go to Google. Google. Yeah, I mean, I still kind of see it sideways. It's going to open up a little higher, but still within this kind of range. And I look at a stochastic that's heading down, which also brings down your MACD. Now we could be higher today, and it's not how we open; it's how we close. I'm more interested if it can stay above the 200. Now, if I get another day of a rise up here, and I start seeing the upper Bollinger move up a little, and I see these MACDs start turning around a little bit, or maybe the stochastic, then I'd be more interested in Google as a swing right now. So, but I agree with you right now, Trent. Wouldn't be anything I personally look at from my charts that say, yeah, jump into Google for
Yeah.
sure.
It's just got headwind. I think they all
Yeah.
do. If you look at
They all
all the
do.
Mag
Yeah,
7s, they all have headwind ahead, yeah, in front of them
absolutely.
right now.
Yeah, and Apple's been the worst of all. I mean, it's been the worst apple in the tree, to be punny.
Yeah.
And it's good.
Well, they haven't
Apple,
really innovated Apple.
they have not, and they got manufacturing in China. We got the trade thing going on, and it's the
There's a
only
lot
ones
of
having
distractions going on with Apple.
yeah.
Here's
But you're right.
from a intermediate to long term perspective. If you go back once again back to that September, that July of 23 range, December of 23, and then June of 24, you got 3 points there that were resistance at one point, and then on June 11th, 24, you had a breakout, and that's where we got that move to where it peaked out in December 27th or so of last year. And it has now moved down. So my question, when I look at this from a more intermediate to long-term perspective, is this going to become this area that it's in today becoming support? Or will it become support? I mean, granted, it's going to open up a buck higher, which isn't anything to write home to mom about, but is that going to become a support area? Something to take a look at from the standpoint of a intermediate to long-term perspective. And could it, if it breaks through certain key levels, could it be a move towards the 200 again? I don't know. But it always comes back to that. What's that catalyst that lights this thing up to go higher?
Yeah.
Yeah, but it has drawn
I
down
look
so
at
much.
Bollingers are converging. You've got support right here, which we've hit,
Yeah.
quite a lot. So it maybe we'll see if it can hit support and make it last. But you got two levels of resistance above this now. You got the 9 and the 50, and they're both heading down. And have the 50 heading down. That's not good news. And actually the 20's right in there too, heading down. So you got three levels of resistance that it has to
Yeah.
get past, right in that area. And that's right where we're opening.
Yeah. Well, and basically what you're seeing there is a fight between buyers and sellers. And that's what
Yeah.
creates that stagnant move. Somebody's got to give for it to make a move higher or lower.
Yeah, as
But
for a swing trade, it's not there. But I don't know, fundamentally from what Bob said and what you've said, Trent, it doesn't sound very positive for Apple fundamentally. I haven't got into the numbers like Kerry, but
yeah, they just, well, you think about product wise and service wise, they haven't produced anything exciting.
uh,
You know, they did put out a white paper recently that hasn't gotten much press. I haven't read the whole thing, but the gist of it is basically they're talking about all these large language models are basically memory models, and none of them are approaching it from a reasoning standpoint, like being able to take this data and reason through it. Um, which I'm like, well, I haven't read the paper yet. I'm gonna get it and drop it into ChatGPT and have it summarize it for me. But it's one of those things that you're like, I'm looking at going, okay, is this Apple's way of saying we're about to announce our own AI model that's based on reasoning versus memory?
Yeah,
So that could be their thing, but who knows?
yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't
Tim
look
hadn't
good.
called me,
Doesn't
so
doesn't look good to me at this
yeah,
point. But what was
yeah.
the other one that was on the chat? The CRSP or something like that?
Let's see. I was well, there was
It was CRSP.
CRWV Core
Oh, CR.
Weave.
Oh, we looked at
Maybe
that one. I
that
thought we looked at that one
you
already.
did. Oh no, CRSP as in Paul.
CRSP. CRSP. CRISPR, I think.
Yeah.
Here's another one where you've come up and we're just fighting that 200 and also sell orders, right? You got two lines of resistance right next to each other, and then you've got a rolling over Bollinger Band. We've dropped back down to the 9, but when I come down here, I see the stochastic bending over a little bit, which usually means you're going to see the MACD. But you're having support here at the 9. So, I mean, this doesn't give me much hope down here with the stochastic, but you've maintained the 9. I don't know where it's going to open today, but you can play between the 9 and the Bollinger and the 200. We closed at 41. The Bollinger is at 4305. Okay, so there's a little bit of room to run on CRISPR, but again, you got a lot of resistance right above it. But if you're buying in, I'd rather buy in towards support than I would, resistance. What's your thought on it, Trent?
I don't know. I think it's one of those. It's in a channel. It's moving around. What's gonna light it up? What's the catalyst?
Yeah, you
You
got a lot of
know?
resistance. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just to me. It's just you're gonna bounce around.
You got a
It's sort of like the S and
27,
P right now.
you got a 27% short position on there too.
Yeah, it's not good either. Yeah.
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 I think that's the one thing we're in this phase where we're looking at a lot of these stocks and they're all hitting this resistance level. And could it be the suppression of volatility by the options market and market makers? Maybe. There's a higher probability that is what is doing it, which would then say next week should be sort of taking the leash off the market and giving it some room to run. Um, I'm a big believer that controls a lot of this price movement is the derivatives market and market makers playing around with basically our money. Um, so those are things I'm taking into account. But right now, they're just what's the big news story? What I'm hearing is the economy still is declining and through what's the IMF number, so that to me is a concern.
We had a couple more charts, and this was on our under the 200 list. PFE Pfizer.
Uh-huh.
It's kind of taken off, running along the upper Bollinger. I don't like buying above the Bollinger. So, I mean, I would come back if I was going to get into this and find a better spot, like maybe right in this area to put in a buy. You're kind of halfway down or down at this spot, you can see, or right in the middle, but try to get a better price other than being on the upper Bollinger. Now, you might miss it, but that's a part of trading. You might miss it. You live to fight another day, but buying on the upper Bollinger adds more risk. Buying on the lower side has more reward. Okay, so we're seeing again, like I said, the healthcare stocks are looking a little bit better, along with defense and oil. And here's Merck. Merck again on the under the 200 list. We have a nice crossover of the 9 of the 50. We're gonna get the 20 to crossover. Got a nice roll up the Bollinger Band. Got oscillators that are looking pretty good. We got RSI at 59. Little bit of resistance as sell orders are at 83.49. We're at 80.90, so about another $2 up. So again, maybe you can come in, put in a buy order at this point, get a little bit of a bounce, and then see what happens. But I don't like buying on the upper Bollinger Band. I like it, see it running there. I like to see it running with inside the Bollinger Band between support, which is the 9, and resistance, but maybe you can get a little better price on Merck too. But I like the direction that Merck is moving. I like it when it starts to move up in the direction it is, but just be careful where you have resistance. Is there anything else? I think. Let me see. Oh, I think we got them all, Trent.
Okay. All right. Well,
Whew.
this has been a good one.
Anything else? Anything else, guys, before we sign off for the day? Anyone? Going once? Going twice?
All right.
All right.
All right.
Patrick,
We'll see you
stay
guys.
safe over there, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you, and see you all tomorrow, maybe.
Yep. We'll
Unless-
see you tomorrow. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't too encouraging.
Right. Wow.
I plan to see you tomorrow, Patrick.
Yeah, hopefully too. Thank you. Bye.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Y'all have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. And
All
be
right.
safe.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Oh.